We're right now everyone's kind of scattered. Is that a fair assessment?
That's pretty true.
So, where did Morgana and Shewn end up?
Just at Morg's shop, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Morg was looking at the piece that Shewn kind of swiped, or Freddy swiped. And like Gillard went home. And then Freddy like stays at the shop but in cat form, so it's just like if anyone goes to the shop today, they will be seeing a black cat there that's just chilling.
Now, do you remember what that thing you found was?
It was a piece off of the box, and I think it had the alchemical symbol for sulfur on it. Maybe it was one alchemical symbol, and you posted it in the Discord chat. So
yeah,
it was sulfur, oil, soul, a variety of things, really.
Yeah, sulfur, soul, consciousness, and oil.
Yeah.
All right, and Master, do you remember where you ended up? Or I should say where Gilliard ended up.
Gillard went home. After staying at the shop for a few hours, I'll say. I stayed long enough to notice that they found something, but I didn't really go look because I'm not magical, so what was the point? And I was kind of slightly annoyed being arrested. Just slightly. I mean, it happens, but I'm just so tired of it. You know, and the way it happened, too. Not really a fan. So I just went home.
Whoa.
Yeah,
what happened to your overlay there?
I have no idea. Technology's a great thing when it wants to work.
Which is never.
Right.
It's the ghost in the machine.
All right, and then it brings us around to Terry and Mike. And you guys were at the police station with Gillard as well, correct?
We were there. Gillard left, and then we went in, and Mike just had the best possible conversation with the sketch artist.
Kind of gave her the skivvies.
Well, did we completely lose Gillard?
He walked out as we walked in, so probably.
Okay, so we were just terrifying the sketch artist, or I guess I was terrifying the sketch artist.
But briefly impressing her.
The key question was, were you intentionally terrifying the sketch artist? Or were you just trying to flirt?
I'm going to point you to my character sheet in this particular instance. And my high concept. That should answer that question.
For those who are watching the stream that don't have access to your character sheet,
tell the people what they've won.
Oh, well, my high concept is terrifying apparition. My dreams of one day being a substantially terrifying apparition. Like the horror movies he saw as he was younger. The Ring, The Grudge, Casper the Friendly Ghost.
My God.
Which version of Casper?
Ghostbusters. You know. So, but the only thing is Mike is an idiot and incredibly immature, and he actually does this by accident most of the time.
So
he's not scared of tries.
We know what Gillard and what Mike and Terry kind of were up to the next morning. What would you say Prim and Shewn, like, the next morning after you guys did the investigation, was it just kind of business usual for Morgana, or?
Yeah, business as usual, just running the shop, basically.
Okay.
Freddy, since he is not here, I'm going to say just kind of wanted to lay low for the entire day and was just in cat form.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Is he's kind of trying to think of the nice way of saying being a needy cat.
He's being a layabout, like most cats.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so Gillard, what did you do after leaving the police station?
I briefly went to the shop with Morgana, and then I guess I kind of watched from a distance as they found that symbol, and watched Morgana look at it, and then I was like, well, I'm not really needed here, so I can go home.
You just go home, sleep.
That was before the police visit, I think. That was
yeah.
like the day before.
That was that was kind of like the evening of, and then you went home, you went to sleep. Cops kind of picked you up on your way back to the house.
Okay, my notes are wrong. I'm sorry. Okay. After I left the precinct, I would definitely go back home.
Okay.
And reevaluate my security.
Well, I mean,
fire some people.
the cops didn't. They would have grabbed you kind of off the street as they were approaching your house, so it's not like it was a SWAT team raid on your house.
Still, I mean, maybe I don't need to go outside so much.
All right.
Perhaps one expands the security field to encompass the whole street now.
Yeah, we gotta reevaluate.
Need to kind of figure out what's going on with your contacts in the police station.
Yeah, just look around a little.
Okay.
Put out the feelers and see when the representative is planning to play golf again.
Okay.
Just so I can happen to be on the green on the same day.
So, Terry, what would Mike do after the police station? Was he just kind of go to an IHOP, grab some breakfast, or?
What time is it when we left?
It would have been not even late morning. I mean, it would have been not long after sunrise.
Oh man, would we head back up and set up shop again?
Well, you need to get sleep.
Well, I thought we got a good night's sleep,
Well, we've been up all night, haven't we?
How are you going to get a good night's sleep with Mike on a vibrating bed?
You turn it on, and then he sits there and giggles for 10 hours, and you get some sleep.
You just learn to tune him out.
Yeah.
He's probably gotten very good at that right now.
Yeah, so we dug through the bag, obviously. We found the mercury-filled skeleton key, and after a brief prayer and consideration, Terry decided he was going to keep that one. But the MacBook and the iPad went back in the bag. Then we got a good night's sleep. This is the next day. We dropped him off at the station. We gave a description to the sketch artist, or rather, Mike started giving a description, and then everyone involved realized that was not optimal in any way. So he just drew it.
Okay. So we're going to say about from that whole scenario happening, about a week and a half passes. You guys really just go about your business. Let me roll a dice to figure out. I'm going to break you down into a group of 3. One, 2, 3, 4. All right, so Mike and Terry.
Yes.
Terry, one day when you're actually on a different street corner in New Orleans, you happen to notice there's an Escalade that's kind of been circling around the block a few times. Windows are pitch black. Like it's that level of tint that you can't see through one window, let alone two windows. It's like one of those assholes when you're trying to see around if there's oncoming traffic, you just can't see around this truck. And every time they kind of drive by you, they just kind of slow down briefly before speeding up. And it seems like you notice the same vehicle every couple of hours, but you're never able to like catch the plates because it's crowds around or the way they're driving. There's a bus behind them. It's always strange timing.
It always works out for him.
Right.
Is it just Terry that notices this, or is Mike aware as well?
What would Mike be doing, say, in the middle of the day?
Well, I'm probably drooping a little bit, kind of just following wherever Terry's going. I'm not at my best at this time of day.
All right, and let me see. Morgana, say about a week and a half has gone by. What does her daily routine kind of consist of? Do her and Shewn kind of go, or her and Freddy go everywhere together, or does he kind of guard the shop when you're gone?
He kind of guards the shop whenever I'm gone. Like if Morg needs to go out and do something, he will shift out of cat form and just kind of watch it for me. But otherwise, like we just kind of leave each other to do our own thing. It's kind of like a just sort of a silent agreement that we have between the two of us. Like he just hangs around the shop if he needs to and changes into cat form and just sort of chills there. And he's just kind of my cat around the shop.
So we're going to say it's been a good 4 days, and you haven't seen Freddy either in person or cat form around the shop. There's no messages, no sign that he's kind of been there in the odd hours when you're not there. You're starting to get a little worried because it's unusual for him to not at least be by in some capacity. He's kind of been on his multi-day gambling binges in the past, but is never to kind of this length of time.
Let me give you a quick roll. I want to see how good the sermon's going today. Ooh, that's a strong one.
Yeah, you have
Strong.
a noticeable crowd kind of forming around you.
And my stunt gives me a +2 to that.
Okay.
And a +2 specifically to preaching. So this is a powerful day.
So we're gonna say with that, you're actually gonna notice that the truck or the Escalade that's been circling around is actually kind of parked a couple blocks down, and a couple of the people have actually started to walk down the block and are actually watching your sermon. There are a couple of larger build framed black gentlemen, both of them head shaved. One of them has a gold earring in his left ear. Other one actually has an earpiece in his ear. Both well dressed. I wouldn't necessarily say business attire, more like club-like attire. But they're kind of standing at the back of the crowd and just watching you.
Okay.
Do I see this too?
Yeah. And
I'm gonna
we'll
go
say
see what
because they do stand out.
I'm gonna go see what they're talking about. Just go float around next to them.
Right now they're not actually talking, and you can observe them, but right now they're just kind of watching the sermon.
I'm gonna sit on the biggest one's shoulder. I'm just gonna listen in.
All right. What is Terry preaching about today?
I don't have a full sermon prepared, but let's say that today's sermon is on the nature of the imperishable soul. The soul is a fragment of God in the human body.
All right. So while he's going on his speech, the two guys they do kind of chat back and forth idly about some kind of irrelevant things, kind of a little bit mocking of Terry, thinking he's more of a spectacle than an actual man of God.
At +6, I am quite a spectacle.
One of the guys actually leans over to his cohort, and Mike, you overhear him say, you sure the boss is the right guy? This guy doesn't seem like he's all there. And then the other guy leans back to him, and he's like, yeah, boss says it's him. He grabbed the bag.
All right, so this is going to set off alarm bells for Mike. I'm immediately going to go back to Terry, stand right in his face so he has no choice but to notice me, and say, Terry, it's time to go. You're in danger.
I look at Mike. Make me a roll to convince me, because Terry, he's in it. He's hands in the air.
All right.
Fearsome. Oh shit! I don't even know what I'd roll against it.
Just roll for fate. If you're fighting against it, kind of thing.
I'm just gonna do that. Yeah, let's see what happens.
So it's.
I will allow the more active person to win.
What do you mean more? Like, you're more active than Terry right now because you're grandiose. You're going.
Oh yeah, I'm big. I'm out
Yes.
here. But I'm like, I mean, the person who initiates the roll wins on tie is how I always feel.
Okay.
So
we can always do a quick tiebreaker. Here, we'll do a quick tiebreaker.
In this case, like Mike would be sitting there and just like incorporate. At that point, like. So the way I envision this is you're in the middle of a sermon and you're in the zone. You're preaching. You're hitting all your cues. Mike's just in there like, Terry, come on, Terry, come, Mike, Terry, we gotta go. Come on, Terry, let's go. And then you just keep ignoring him, and you're in the zone. You're preaching, and all of a sudden, like, Terry just slaps you in the face, or Mike slaps Terry in the face, and while he's a ghost and no one else can see it, your head just like turns.
My head goes like, ugh.
Yeah.
And then as I come back up, he's just pointing at the guys in the back.
Right.
And I see that, and I look at Mike a little bit. Do you say anything?
You're in danger. If you die, I'm screwed. Let's go.
I book it.
All right. So do you leave everything you have there and book it, or do you like start like grabbing things up?
My friend,
That's not a
have
lot.
you seen how poor we are?
Well,
I
which
have
is-
a box, and I can find another.
And it's a fine box.
I can find boxes. There are many of them. I'm
Okay.
a street preacher. I have a knack for that.
It's probably just a milk crate anyway.
Yeah.
Last time he said it was a nice vintage soapbox.
It was.
That's true.
It was. But every day is a new day. Maybe I should always try and find a new box.
There you go.
You could actually make that an aspect for Terry. That would
Every
actually
day is
be
a new box.
Yes.
I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah. Besides,
New day, new box.
Yes.
the
Oh
spiritual
my god.
spiritual man is a pauper.
So
All right.
That's incredible.
with with this, you take off and you start hearing some shoutings from the crowd of, "Hey, stop shoving! Hey, watch it! Hey, what are you doing?" And you kind of look over your shoulder and you see one of the large black gentlemen, the one with the actual headpiece, is starting to follow after you. You don't notice where the other guy went.
Oh no.
So-
Oh no. Can I make a roll to perceive him around me if I can?
Yeah, you can try. Let me pull up your sheet.
I
and
would like to
figure out.
try. If it's physically impossible, that's fine, but
So
you would try.
we're gonna say
I'll
like
listen.
you're using your Are you trying to like kind of focus, use your senses to see?
I'd
or
say
hear-
it would be focus, yeah. That's how we would respond to this.
I'll assist because I'm actually able to move backwards without fear of running into anything.
Okay, so yeah, I mean Mike could be like the eyes behind your head kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the lookout because this got my hackles up.
Alright, so here's a focus roll. Not bad.
Not bad. at
Not
all.
bad.
I guess I
Open your
what
sheet
happened?
and then you get a +1 from that.
yeah.
So that's gonna end up being you rolled a 3.
I rolled 3.
All right, so that breaks down to great. You don't see him, but you actually hear the guy talking into the headset, and he's communicating to him saying, "Once you get the car, circle around the block."
Aha. Aha. So I would like to say that I've run the opposite direction of the car.
Okay.
Seems like the natural thing to do. So if they were parked up the street and had walked to me,
Yep.
I would have run the other way.
Yep.
Hearing that, though, I want to get off this street. Are there any side streets or alleys coming up left or right that I could take?
You'll notice actually about 20 feet ahead of you across the street. So say you're running, let's just say northbound, and you're on the right side of the street. You notice on the west side across the street there is a small alley between two shops.
Okay, if that's the first thing I see, that's what I'm going for. It'll get me onto some other block. Hopefully I'll be able to dodge this car. Don't
So
know who
you-
they are yet, but Terry's lived a suspicious life.
So you break it across the street, dodge between oncoming traffic, run into the alley. You notice it's a dark, grimy back alley. One of the shops is actually a restaurant. There's dumpsters scattered throughout the alleyway. One of the buildings is actually a 5-story building. At the opposite end of the block, there's a fire escape that leads up that building, and you can see daylight at the other side of the alley, and it's just kind of normal traffic. The gentleman
seems
is
like
kind of still, he is still pursuing you.
How close?
Okay.
Say he's probably about 200 feet behind, because
So
he
good
got
to-
slowed down because of the
Are
traffic.
we in? You know about in the city where we're at right now? Give or take.
What area would you guys think you've been preaching in? Originally, you were in the Arts and Warehouse district. Where would you have wanted to set up shop today?
God, that's a good ass question.
The square would have been the obvious choice.
I feel like there's a lot of competition for busking in the square.
It's true. Decatur's always good, especially during the day,
Gotta pull
because
up
you
my
get down
map
by
and
Cafe
notice.
du Monde and the French Market. Good touristy center, but not a lot of busking activity down there.
Mhm, mhm. I feel that. I feel that. Well, I don't
do
feel
have to
like
say,
tourists are exactly our crowd.
Blinds pound every day is a new box. We got to make that. We got to make that proper.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start hashtagging that in tweets.
Easy enough. You can't be
Be
picky about these things.
It could be interpreted in a really raunchy way, so be careful.
Oh, you know Terry wouldn't catch it.
Mike probably wouldn't either. All right, so the reason I ask is if it's during the day, and we're in an area like this, there are a lot of places we can duck into. We could duck into the French market. We could duck into like a Café du Monde or a Coop's place or somewhere like that where they're serving breakfast but not insanely busy. But we could probably blend in.
We could duck in someplace. In fact, you said there was a Chinese restaurant that we're in the back alley of.
Yeah.
Let's say we make it through to the other side in daylight. Do we see any shops there? Anything we could hide out in?
I mean, there's a string of open shops. It's kind of we'll say it's a Thursday morning, so you have a lot of people. You do have tourists, but it's not like prime time tourist time. You got a number of actual business people, more locals kind of working through the area. So it's busy, but it's not congested.
Okay.
Let's duck in and pretend to be shopping, Terry.
Terry does so.
I'll stand at the entrance so I have him in eye shot and the door between us.
So while you're running down the street, you kind of notice one shop that just catches your eye. You duck inside the shop, and you find yourself in this rather nice occult shop.
Oh, how lovely. You saw where I was going with that.
Is there anything on the entrance to this shop that might inhibit me from entering before we go there?
It's a public. Shop. You're concerned about like thresholds or more about wards?
But thresholds are the thing I worry about. Wards I'm okay with.
It's a public shop, so there would be no thresholds to it.
Okay. Just making sure.
If you try and sneak off and go into like her bedroom upstairs, there might be problems, but even then it's a public shop, so it's not as strong of a threshold as if it was like a 5th generation family owning and living in the same house.
Oh yeah. Normally I'd be all about going up and checking out somebody's bedroom, but in this case I'm more concerned with the present situation.
There are pressing matters. All right, so let's say that as I approach the shop, before I get to the point where I'm visible out the window, I'm slowed to a reasonable pace.
Okay.
And I just stroll in. Ding.
So, Morgana, you see this gentleman who you kind of catch from the counter you're at. You see this guy kind of dart past your window, stop in front of the door, slow down, look around, come through your door. Roll guile for me, Terry.
Yeah, let's see how well I did that, actually.
Yeah.
Not well.
So...
Which is perfect, actually.
This guy kind of comes into your door, shuts the door behind it, stands there panting. Hi.
And then he,
Yeah.
tries to act normal.
So, Mike,
give
why
a
don't you
brief
actually
wave
say
to the proprietress.
Because she wouldn't be able to hear it, so...
No, but she can read it, so just say it for the stream's sake.
Terry, what are you doing? You're just standing there like a rube. Pick up a book or something.
Anyways, brief wave to the proprietress, and then I walk off towards the back of the shop.
This is not the time
Hopefully
for flirting.
there's a bookshelf.
Stop flirting.
So does your shop have like a reading area or anything of that nature?
Not really a reading area, no.
Okay.
There were shelves. I remember there were shelves.
So what kind of things might Terry be looking at when you kind of come around and ask him if he needs assistance?
That question for me, or is that question for Terry?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Morgana, what kind of things would Terry find in your shop that he'd be looking at right now? Because I don't think he's actually looking for anything specific. He's just finding the farthest back corner and acting like he's interested in what he sees.
Yes.
Well, while he's doing this, I'm going to actually use my poltergeist ability, and I'm gonna lock the door and flip the sign.
Okay.
Let me mark that off there. Yeah, cha-chung, flip.
Well, anyways, Terry would be looking at like crystals, tarot cards, black salt, candles, like herbs, basically, like jars of like one specific herb, and then like my personal blends, then different books on like different sort of occult topics, things related to Wicca and such. Since the whole thing with Gillard when he was passing, I took a lot of the real spell books and like the Unseelie Accords like off the shelves, and those are just sort of up in my apartment now.
So just the standard like Llewellyn publications.
Hedge Witch for Dummies.
Yeah.
Basically. And then there, of course, there are the mandrakes on the top shelf. Don't touch those.
They squeal if you get too close.
Yeah.
So I'm still at the window and front door. I'm kind of just pushing my face through and looking around every now and then.
Okay. So Morgana, would you approach him?
Yeah, he's just kind of standing around, breathing heavily, looking at a crystal.
Yeah, I would approach him.
What would you say?
Like, well, what brings you to Big Easy Enchantments? You came in here and you were panting rather heavily whenever you entered through the door.
All
Terry,
right, okay, let's see how strong I've got this.
Don't tell her anything. Just tell her you're a pervert and you're excited.
If I'm lying, should I roll guile or flair?
Depends. How do you like? Do you want to kind of be over the top about your lie to distract about the truth, or do you want to like actually subtly deceive?
Just answer normally, so I guess guile, right?
Guile, yeah.
This is gonna be funnier. Let's see it, let's see it. Oof. This man is standing there, breathing very heavily.
He just took my advice.
Looking around. He's saying, oh, I was out for a morning run and I thought I'd stop in.
He's still trying to catch his breath. He's not in the best of shape.
No, he's not very well fed, you know.
Morgana, like, it is going to look at him, look at his nose, not right in the eyes. Just sort of raise her eyebrow and will be like, is that so?
All right, here, let's see.
We're boned.
Ah, she spotted me, and I noticed that she spotted me.
We're boned, man. We're boned.
So I say, no, there was someone chasing me, and I did not want to be chased right now. I'm sorry.
Terry, what? No, we don't know who she is. What are you doing? Terry, look at me. Look at me.
I do look at Mike, actually.
Do you want me to drive? Look at me. I can be the captain now.
Well, if you're being chased, then why didn't you just say so? Who are you hiding from?
I can't say I've made his acquaintance before. I was preaching out on the street corner. A couple of guys walked up, and Harry takes a moment internally to figure out how do I explain my ghost friend warned me about them. They just gave me a really bad vibe. And when I started running, they started chasing me, so I guess I was right.
Street preacher, huh?
Yes. Yes, madam. A man of God. Or at least I try to be.
Well, certainly not the strangest thing in New Orleans.
I find myself blending in for perhaps the first time since I've arrived here.
So,
Well,
I'll say while you two are talking, you actually hear a couple of horns from outside. And Terry, as you look out the window, you actually see the guys that were chasing you. One of them's actually standing at the car that you had noticed, talking to the gentleman inside. So they don't seem to notice you're in the building, but they're right outside it talking.
Okay. So I look at them and then I look at Mike briefly.
Terry, this is not your area of expertise. Ask
Fair
her
enough.
if you can be hidden upstairs. I'll guard the door. I'll let you know if something happens, and I'll scare them. I've scared people off in the past. You know I can do this.
Terry turns back to Morgana. He says, my name is Terry. What's yours?
Morgana Doran.
Well, Morgana, don't look now, but the guy I was talking about is standing right outside. Is there any chance you could, I don't know, put me in the bathroom or something while I wait for them to go away?
Oh, don't worry about that. I've got it. And I actually would like to use one of my stunts.
Okay.
I would like to use glamour and make Terry just invisible.
This is going to be
I'm reading
interesting.
over this real quick. You may cast minor veils and seemings with a moment's concentration. You may draw a veil over something roughly person-sized, hiding it from sight with other means of detection, or you may cause a person to... All right. So what I'm curious about is you like to do enchanting, right? That's kind of one of the things you sell. Do you have an object that you use to bestow glamour? Or would this just be a quick spell that you've kind of focused on and learned?
A little spell.
I'm sorry, what?
Sort of a quick little spell, sort of a wave of the hand.
Okay. So, Terry, you notice she waves her hand, and you start to feel this tingle over your body. Your vision becomes slightly blurred, kind of as if you're looking through a prism or a fog. You can. It's not that you can't see well, but it's kind of like you're looking through a slightly transparent curtain.
I look down at my hand. Can I see my hand?
Mm-hmm. It looks kind of hazy.
Do I notice any change, or is this normal for
You
me?
don't. It's normal vision for you.
Okay, so I'm not going to notice. Terry, what are you do? You're still just standing there. Come on.
I say, Mike, can you see me? I say, excuse me one moment, Morgana. I must confer with my ghost.
Why wouldn't I be able to see you?
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm really not sure what you've done.
Don't worry about it, darling. You're hidden. And I walk up to the door, and I'm just like, I try to wiggle open. I notice it's locked. I'm just like, what in the hell happened to this lock? And I unlock the door, and I notice that my sign also says closed, and I flip it back around to open, and I'm just like, God damn it. And just walk back to the counter,
I'm going
basically.
to immediately flip it back to closed. I'll use another point to do so.
Okay.
And relock the door.
I say, Terry's having a hard time right now. He's really struggling to communicate all of the many things that he must communicate right now. I suppose the real question is, does he believe you when you tell him he's hidden? Are you very persuasive about it?
I would like to think that I am, but
She did seem very confident.
yeah, and I would think that your vision going hazy, like by
Oh, it's definitely weird to him, but he can see his own hand, and Mike can see him. And Terry doesn't know anything about how this works, so he has some doubts.
All right, so with this, we're actually going to kind of switch scenes,
All right.
and we're gonna actually switch over to Master. And Master, it's been probably a week and a half. Have you just been like hunkering down in your? Would you say you have an apartment, a condo? What would you own?
I would say I own some apartments, but I don't live there. And I'm currently in my condo.
Okay, so it's you have kind of like safe houses scattered throughout the town.
Yes, that seems accurate.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna change the song up a little bit. Yeah, I don't like that music. Sorry. I don't get the sense that Gillard is a. I don't know. None of these are very good. Let's just go with an air conditioning hub. It's New Orleans. Have air conditioning running in the background. All right. So
It is the soundtrack of our lives.
yes. So you're kind of hunkered down. You're keeping it safe,
Is
and
this morning or?
this is morning. Yeah.
All right. I wake up in my very nice, very luxurious bed. I'm all like basically my bedroom is just crisp linens and good taste. So I wake up, head over to the door of my bedroom to open the door to let my valet into the room. He enters, head down, uh, very quick pace, like just walks directly to the walk-in closet, doesn't say anything to me, doesn't even look at me because he can tell that I'm in a bad mood. We're not going to do the social exchanges of good morning, sir, how are you type deal. I don't do that every day anyway. We don't really talk.
Okay.
So he just goes to my closet to get my clothes for me. So I'm like, all right, great. I'll just head down and take a shower. He'll bring me my clothes because he knows where I'm headed anyway. So
All right. So you get out of your shower, and from the other room, you actually hear what's what I believe is your cell phone ringing.
hmm. Well, I've had a pretty good wake up this morning. My alarm clock is not necessarily a clock; it's my ambient lights on a dimmer that just kind of illuminate as like a sunrise within my bedroom. So I'm pretty relaxed. So I hear the phone in the next room. I'm like, all right, well, great. I'll get to that when I get to it. So I'm just gonna kind of make my way over there. I'm not in a hurry because I know I can call whoever it is back, but like it would be nice to catch it on the third ring.
Okay. So you don't want to come off as over eager.
Yeah, I don't know who this is.
All right. So you pick up the phone, and on the other end, a gentleman with kind of a deep voice answered and said, "Is this your lord?"
Yes, and who is this?
My name's T. I got your number from an acquaintance.
All right, see, what can I do you for?
Well, I've been told you're someone who can be contacted if discretion is key and there's a problem to be solved, or information more specifically is need to be acquired.
Yeah, I'm your guy.
Well, you see, there was a situation a couple weeks ago, and something of mine needs to be acquired. And I got some information from, social media that gave me a really good idea, but I need help tracking someone down. I've heard you kind of got a network of ways of coming about finding people.
As I hear that he needs my help finding someone, I subtly press a button on my phone
Stop
that
ringing phone.
starts recording the call. And I say, can I get some of the details as to the whereabouts of whatever item you're looking for? I'm sure I can help you.
Well, it's not an item as much as a person.
All right.
They have something that belongs to me.
All right, name the person. I'll go see what I can do.
I don't have their name, and that's part of what I need you to uncover. I'd like to schedule a meet and greet where we can get together and go over some of the finer details.
I'd like to think I'd have an assistant for this, but yeah, do I am I allowed to have an assistant that would make the arrangements?
I'll put you on with my secretary.
Yeah, it's
Um,
okay, all right, I'll put you on my secretary. We'll work this out, team.
if you want to have someone make an appointment to track all of your illegal handlings, I guess that's okay. I'm not going to say no. What would you like? You just hand the cell phone over to your was
Your
it
valet.
essentially a manservant who's getting your clothes ready?
It well, the valet's put my clothes in the ensuite bathroom for me. So he's downstairs now fixing my breakfast. I have someone else for this, is what I'm gonna say,
Okay.
but not necessarily a secretary. More like someone who doesn't know the actual details. They just know that I need to make a meeting with an acquaintance. So they'll schedule something, but they won't know the specifics. My attorney knows the specifics, so they're not connected.
So you're pretty much. What are you going to tell him before you hand off the phone? Just like kind of word it to me how you tell him.
Well, I'll hand you to my on-site secretary, and she'll schedule something.
I'd rather not deal with third parties. I was told you're the person I need to go to find this information. I don't want to work with anyone else.
I wave my hand to gesture her over here to me, and I'm like, very well, let me just check my calendar, and I say those words in a very pointed tone, so she'll pull out my planner or whatever she has for me, so I can see what my agenda is, see what my days look like. Looking for a day that I'm available.
How does today work? I could have a car pick you up at any time.
I'd rather drive myself if that's all right.
Be happy
Not
to.
really a
But
big
if we're
fan
gonna meet in
of
public,
pickup.
I'd prefer, or if we're gonna meet, I'd prefer it to be somewhere in public, potentially some neutral ground. No disrespect, but I don't know you. I haven't worked with you, and
If it's somewhere in public, I could drive myself.
so be it.
All right, name the place. My
How
day's pretty
does
open.
Quest Coffee Shop sound?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the area. I can do Quest Coffee Shop.
Could you
So
be
I
there in
say
2
that-
hours?
I say that so the secretary can get that down. And I would estimate that I would live far enough away where I'd have to think about it for a second, but I think I can make it there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Unless you want to be fashionably late, and
Yeah. I don't know. No, that's not a good look. If I say I'm going to be somewhere, I'm going to be there. And with those words, I'll be like, "All right, I'll be there."
okay.
Cool.
All right, I appreciate your time, sir. And he hangs up.
All right.
This
All right.
whole apparatus.
We're going to bounce back to Terry and Morgana at this point,
And Mike.
and Mike.
Of course. My eyes and ears on the street.
So I probably just watched the sign flip back around after I'd flipped it back to open
Yeah,
again.
There was no even remote attempt at hiding that one. I think plus Terry just said, hang on, I have to talk to my ghost.
At one moment, I have to speak to my ghost. So you saw that, and then Terry was like, he was kind of stuttering and trying to figure out, well, what am I going to do to explain this? And I say, don't worry about the sign. I'm mildly haunted. He's a really nice guy.
Terry.
Can you tell him to knock it off? Because I do have a business to run. You are hidden.
I think he's just a little concerned. I'm also a little concerned. You definitely did something. I'm not really sure what it was.
At this point, Mike is in her face going, "Oh, no, you didn't. You are not the boss of me."
But
he goes back to
make me a roll. Make me believe. Make me believe.
What would I roll to convince him that he's hidden?
How do you want to go about it? You want to like grab him, force him up against the wall, and be like, "I told you you're hidden," or like you can use any of these kind of in a. You want to explain the finer details of how the spell works and intricacies of it that be intellect. So you could use any of these. It's more of how you go about it.
Yeah.
Except for focus. I don't think focus would work here. You just stare at him and until he's like, all right.
Yeah. Let me see. I feel like guile.
Okay.
Would be what she would use.
Cleverness.
Rip.
I see it. It's a 1.
So it's a roll.
It might do it.
Yeah, roll 4 fate just to see how gullible you're feeling right now.
Moderately.
Yeah, you believe her. You don't know why.
All right.
But
you don't know why.
Between the vision and Mike and just the crazy day, you're like, what the hell?
All right, we're doing it. We're doing it live.
Sure.
And you can look at Morgana and you see an odd twinkle in her eyes. Something that's a little vague.
Oh, that is important, actually. Terry will attempt to look you right in the eye.
Yes. So you
Morgana turns away.
So all right, so it's, as he makes eye contact, like you just instantly like that, you feel the sense of a soul gaze starting to come on, and you break it off before I can fully immerse.
All right, so
and
that's not the weirdest thing to Terry. That happens a lot.
So I go and I flip the sign back around and I'm unlocking the door.
Let's say,
are the guys still outside?
Yeah, they're still there.
Are they
Terry,
like right outside?
Yeah, well, they're like, so you have the sidewalk and then the car's parked on the shoulder and they're there talking.
Is the car running?
Yes.
All right. Well, while they're doing whatever they're doing,
you see one of the guys like gesturing, pointing down the street.
All right. I'm about to spook them off. I'm gonna use my phobophage.
All right, let me look that one up. I'm
gonna create an aspect of terrified on the target.
Create an aspect of terrified on the target. Okay. How are you? Describe to me what you're doing.
All right. So first I'll look at Terry and be like, because like she just flipped the sign again and unlocked the door, and I'm like, God dang it! Like I'm trying to keep you safe. I'm just gonna say, Terry, I'll be right back, and I'm gonna drift out.
Okay.
Down through the sidewalk, up through the bottom of the car. I'm gonna come out right between his legs and his lap, using my phobophage to become visual and distorted, like a grisly face coming up from the floorboard of the car, going.
Okay. Do me a favor. Roll flare for me.
A flare of all things.
All right, that's a fair roll. I'll say since he was actively talking, he does notice you come up, make that face, gets startled, hits the accelerator, drives the car into the back of the car that's parked in front of him.
Nice.
That car siren starts going off. Wah, 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 wah. At this point,
Back
the
in
guy
the
who was
shop.
talking
Oh, God,
just
Mike.
kind of backs off and starts walking in the opposite direction. And the guy gets out of the car and starts looking around. He's confused on what he just saw.
Did I get a decent enough meal off of that to replenish?
What do you mean?
By doing that, I replenish
2 boxes of EC? Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I'm just going to drift back inside.
Okay.
I say to Morgana, excuse me one moment more. Mike,
What?
did you get him?
Oh, you hear that?
I did.
Yeah, there was a small fender bender outside. I don't know what happened. It's crazy. Guy just hit the gas, slammed right in the car in front of me. I swear he was parked. It's New Orleans. People probably drinking.
Yeah, that's probably fine. I'm not going to worry about that. But you can stop with the door and sign and all that. It's a little rude to our hostess.
Look, just because you guys are an item and probably hooked up 12 times while I was outside doesn't mean you have to be this way. I saw you first.
Mike, we have to be polite to people.
Well, what she got that I don't have?
A shop to hide in.
Good point. Is she hiding us?
Apparently, I can't see myself very well, and I don't know, if she claims that's good enough.
I can see you just fine. Lady, I can see him just fine. Are you going to hide us, lady?
Can you hear him, by the way?
No, I can only hear you talking, Terry.
Okay. That's more what I'm accustomed to, honestly. Bit of a dilemma here.
All right.
Well, I guess if you
Is
can
there-
turn me invisible. So,
Terry, do you see
I have a ghost.
Do you see a cat anywhere?
No? Do I see a cat anywhere?
No.
No?
No cat? Dang. Ask her if she has a cat. Maybe I could just use the cat to get around a little easier. Make communication easier.
Does that work?
I mean, it's a dumb animal. Taking over a dumb animal is nothing.
Well, I guess we don't have one.
Yeah.
You've seen half of this conversation, and it's very strange.
He could and Mike could very easily use a cat as a vessel to get around in daylight farther away from you, Terry.
I don't know. He says he'd want to possess a cat if you had one, but I guess you don't have a cat.
I do have a cat, but
Oh.
I don't know where that cat has wandered off.
Oh.
Dang it.
That's too bad.
Well, let's hide. Where are you hiding us, lady?
He wants to know where you're hiding us, and you've, persuaded me I'm hidden already. How did you do that?
You're not hidden. You're standing in the middle of the shop.
Oh, just a little bit of natural talent that I was born with, you could say.
I don't know what that means, Terry.
Neither do I, Mike. Neither do I.
These people are weird. Can we go back?
I think it's all right, Mike. We're a bit weird.
I'm not weird. I'm the most normal person I've ever met.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
So at this point, I'd actually like to take a brief break. Um, the way I think we're gonna do Dresden going forward is it'll probably be we're gonna target 2-hour sessions.
Okay.
Unless like everyone's really hitting a stride, and I don't want to break up RP at that point. But so I figure at the hour mark we'll just take a brief break where we can all refresh drinks, get ready, and then we'll do the next hour.
Fair.
That seems pretty reasonable to me, man.
So seems reasonable.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, we'll be back shortly and see where everything goes. When we get back, we'll actually resume. We'll say that during this time, the police have shown up. They're talking to the guy about the accident. They're taking insurance information. He's describing kind of how the clutch slipped on the car. He's no way he's going to admit that he saw a poltergeist come up through the floor of his vehicle. But all of this kind of takes some time because insurance is in. It was a nice car that he hit. The dude came out. He's pissed, making a big ordeal about it, kind of drawing a crowd. So you guys are going to be there for probably a couple
Harry
of
will
hours.
keep camping out.
Exactly. So we're gonna when we take the break, we're gonna come back with Masters meeting at the Quest Coffee Shop.
Can I say that I'm making my way there in the same time?
Yeah, that's all. This is kind of happened concurrently.
I'm being driven there by my new head of security and his new valet.
Okay.
That was fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta get this other guy out of here. It was unacceptable. So we're very intensely having a conversation because he knows like why the last guy was fired.
All right, we'll be right back.
All right.
All right,
You
I'm
know,
gonna
if you
grab a
check
drink.
one of those indebted boxes, I bet you could get Monarch security.
Yeah,
Best of the best.
Oh yeah.
that's assuming they're not actually already hired out by someone in New Orleans.
True, which always does happen sometimes.
All right, just heads up.
That's
I'll
right.
put the
We have
string back on.
cams. We have cams here now. Everybody can appreciate the ceremonial tea mug, the only one of its kind.
Did you make it yourself?
I did not. It was a gift from my parents, and they bought it from the person who made it.
Very nice. That's like my coffee mug.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, that's a nice style.
I dig it.
Yeah. Handmade.
Yeah, that's.
Mine's
You're
from,
staying healthier than we are.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. That's
Well,
probably
I mean, it
what
looks like water. Could be vodka.
Or tequila.
Oh.
Oh, you're drinking dirty.
No, it's tequila and lemonade, in the spirit of summer.
Oh, that's fine. That's all fine.
That's basically Kool-Aid.
I forgot we actually got these from Goodwill. They are some really nice glad, like they're thick.
Well, I never turned down a thrift store.
As one must.
All right.
You're drinking a cocktail of tequila and dreams.
Yeah.
Popcorn is successfully inhaled. Let's do this.
There
Okay.
it goes.
So, Master, you arrive at the coffee shop. Do you go up and order a drink, or do you just find a table?
I think I'll just find a table. I'm trying to cut back on the caffeine these days.
Okay. So you sit down, you grab a table, you're kind of on the lookout. Male barista comes up with his man bun up, ask you if he can take your order. Can he get you anything?
Is it just coffee here, or is there also tea?
Coffee and tea. We have a very nice blend of Egyptian beans for coffee, as well as a special import. I don't have my notes at the moment, so I can find out where it's from if you like.
That would be nice. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Do you prefer green, white, or black?
Hmm. I'm gonna take a second to think about the image that I'm trying to portray and say black.
Okay, I will be right back. And he scurries off. Moments later, you see this tall, well-built black gentleman enter the door wearing a purple suit with a blue and white polka dotted tie. He's got a white dress shirt underneath. His hair's cut nice and close to his head. He's got a little bit more than a stubble of a beard. But when he walks in, you could tell he walks with some swagger. He's got some confidence. He walks up to the table, adjusts his tie, says, "Are you Gillard?"
I want to have a pithy comeback, but I'll just say yes.
Uh,
He's
Great.
all serious business. I can tell. I don't I don't want to risk spooking him off. So we'll just say yep. You
All
may
right,
speak.
I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me. Time is of the essence here. You see, I'm pressed for time, and I have to find this gentleman. And with that, he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out a cell phone, and he pulls up a video and shows you the video, and it's paused on a scene. And on the screen, you actually see this. It's a dark recording from YouTube, and the picture's kind of fuzzy and it's cutting in and out. But you actually see this kind of raggedy dressed gentleman standing, or not standing, but kneeling over a body and picking up a messenger bag.
Can I see who it is, or is it too
You
obscure?
you recognize him. You recognize the incident from the scene a couple weeks ago. You recognize Terry. And you don't know Terry, but you recognize him.
Oh, it's that guy.
You've seen him before. You know who he is.
Yes, I've seen him. But he gives me the creeps.
Um, are Do you know where to find him now already? If so, that'd be fantastic. If we could have this wrapped up today, I'd be willing to pay double.
Well, I wouldn't want to promise anything just yet. I may have some idea, but as usual, payment on delivery of services, not ahead of time. If I
All
don't
right,
come up with anything, pay me a cent.
that's fantastic. I'd be willing to pay half up front if it would help expedite things.
No, I don't do this for the funds. Clearly, it's more of a side hobby at this point.
So you'll accept my request for business for.
If I find this guy, I'll let you know.
Okay. If like, are you accepting the contract?
I'll do my best. Yes.
Okay. Um,
I
how
just want to
often can I
convey that
expect some
you're not.
updates?
I just want to convey that you're not obligated to anything. Okay, I'm
So I
trying
can
my
hire
best,
other
but if
people
I
as
don't
well?
find anything, you don't. Yes,
Oh, fantastic. And I don't have to
absolutely,
pay you anything up front?
absolutely.
This is a fantastic deal.
Well, I am Gillard.
I have been informed that he has been seen, and I don't know if this is going to help you with the investigation. From the information I've been told before, he can fairly regularly be found on various street corners. He was spotted, based on my resources earlier today, uh, on a corner not too far from the French Market.
All right, that's where I'll start. I adjust my cufflinks and stand from where I've been seated at this table. If we've sat down together, then I stand up.
Okay. As you get, because I imagine you're getting up to leave.
I'm conveying the intention of immediately starting work.
Okay. He's gonna pull out a business card and he's gonna write down a phone number on the back of it. And he hands you the card.
I take the card and just for a little bit of flavor, I take it with both hands.
Okay.
And then I reach out and like shake his hand if he will accept the handshake. Be like, nice doing business with you, or something to that effect.
Yeah, he'll accept it. When you go to shake his hand, he actually gives you, so like there's the formal handshake, but then he kind of gives you like some street shake flair to it. So like he
nice.
shakes your it's like one of those like shakes the hand, grabs the thumb, and then like slides the hand out kind of thing.
All right.
I thought he was gonna pat him down for weapons. It was gonna be funny.
Yeah.
Do the Roman shake, like you don't have a dagger up your sleeve, right?
Yeah, no. I don't know that he'd be able to tell anyway, so we're just gonna do the handshake. Yeah, cool. All right. Nice. Some
All right.
style to it. I like it.
So you go on your way?
I head to the car that drove me there and immediately direct myself to the area where this individual was last seen.
Okay.
This
So
individual.
Myself to,
as you
to
get in your car,
re-encounter.
as you get in your car and start to drive off, you actually notice this gentleman gets inside of a black Escalade. And when he drives off, there's actually a car in front of him that drives off first, and then there's another car behind him that drives off, and all three cars are identical.
So a convoy, nice. I wonder if he's associated with the Congressman Richmond. Briefly, vaguely, in the back of my mind.
Okay. That's not a question for me, is it? Or is it?
No, it's just
Okay.
a vague wondering as I'm trying to bolster myself for the creepiness that's about to ensue. Because I know that's the forefront of my mind right now. Because I know this dude, seen him before. Not a fan.
Oh, come on, he's such a nice guy.
Creepy.
So
Yes.
where
Killer's
is it?
gonna be our best friend. Watch.
After you drive off, where do you head?
I would go close enough to the place he mentioned. I did not write that down.
The place where Terry was spotted earlier?
Yes.
Corner
So-
close to the French Quarter.
The
My
French
brain
market
is
area.
just completely.
So by this point, I'd say it's around lunchtime in the day. So traffic's picking up a little bit more. People have been waking up from the nighttime bingers that they've been having. Everyone's kind of getting some food to fill their stomachs, cure the hangovers, as well as grabbing their lunch breaks.
I spare a thought for the man bun that rushed inside to get the tea orders because now I'm not there and he's gonna be looking around. That's a bit rude for me to leave without telling him that I was gone, but I guess
He was a
business
new
calls,
hire. He's
right?
probably used to it.
Just a passing thought,
All right. So you drive around the French Quarter, and you really
I'm not driving.
you're walking.
Driven.
I'm being driven.
Oh, being driven. Okay. So you just kind of. What kind of orders
So
did
that
you
I
give
can-
your driver?
I said the general area, and then just continue driving, and I'll tell you where to stop.
Okay.
So that I can use all of my attention to look around and observe the area while he's doing, like, putting all his attention on driving, so that I don't get in an accident because I'm looking to my right, you know?
So after about a half hour of driving up and down streets, nothing really stands out.
Hmm. Well, if I were going to find someone, where would I start? Um, hmm.
So
There was a shop near here that's really interesting. Uh,
yeah.
wonder if wonder if they have anything to help find someone. Is that allowed? Am I allowed to,
Yeah.
to think of
Yeah.
something magical as a plan
Yeah,
to
specifically
lead
like
myself to the shop?
there's a few ways you could go with this. You could, having been part of the scene, you could go back to the location of the events that happened previously. If you think it through, you remember that Freddy was there. You're associated with Freddy, so you could go try and see if Freddy knew anything about the events from the night. You
How would
have
know
different
Freddy?
contacts in the street that you could try and call up or go visit to see if they'd have any information. So there's a few avenues you could go with it.
I think I'm gonna go with going to the shop because I would know that Freddy hangs around there. Because I know him. So I'm I'm mentally bolstering myself to be annoyed by Freddy, so that I can then be
Be
creeped out
creep.
by Terry.
Okay.
So it's just like a thing that I don't want to do, and then another thing I don't want to do.
Okay. So
But
you, at this point, your driver pulls up to Morgana's shop. And as you're parking on the side of the street, you actually notice in front of her shop, there's at this point a tow truck that's mounting up a car on the hitch of the truck. And you can see the back end of this car was just crushed.
that's unfortunate.
It was a really nice Beamer, too.
Oh,
Damn
that's a
shame.
shame.
Damn shame.
Hmm, brutal. Uh, Not mine though, so none of my business. What else is around in this area? Just looking around.
At this point,
Shop open?
there's. Yeah, everything's open at this point. At this point, Mike have, or Morgana, Mike, whichever, is the sign of Morgana's shop say open or closed?
Open.
It
She'd
says
And
probably
it's
open.
be.
unlocked.
Okay.
She,
I wasn't sure if that, like, which person caved first. All right, so
I
it says
flipped it.
open.
She flipped it back. I flipped it again, and then she flipped it back again.
Okay.
And then I was like, I give up.
As you went and did the thing with the car.
There's outside of the occult shop here, you find there's a lot of various businesses in this area. You're gonna have your typical bars that are starting to open up for like their lunch service, their bar and grills. You're gonna also have a number of tourist shops in this area. Some clothing shops.
Hmm. All right, I guess I'll head into the shop and see what Terry's up to. I mean, not Terry, but Freddy.
Ready?
Hopefully, you will specifically not be able to see what Terry's up to.
So
We'll see.
you walk in. You walk into the shop. There's a. Do you have a bell on the door, Morgana?
Yeah, I think you have a bell on the door.
Okay. So, where would you be at this point? Like, where is Terry still just standing, kind of in the lobby area, hidden
Well, I
under
mean,
glamour,
it's
or
been a
was he
while, right?
right?
Yeah.
I would eventually have like found a stool, or I'd be leaning up against the counter, How long has the Escalade been gone, I guess I should ask?
At this point, the Escalade and that whole scenario was probably resolved about half hour ago. So we're talking about it's maybe 2.5, 3 hours later from when you arrived at the shop.
So I have a very important question.
What?
Do I see Gillard come through the door?
If you're still in the lobby and you're alert, then yes.
Oh, I mean, I would be. I'm still terrified. But I'm going to get really excited if I see our meal ticket come through the door.
I've still got the glamour over Terry, so you know.
I would say I was leaning against the counter or something.
I still don't
chatting
do
with
it.
Morgana.
Mike still doesn't believe that Terry's invisible.
And Terry himself still harbors some doubts in the back of his mind about that, so he sees someone walk in and he just stiffens up.
Oh my god!
At this point, you're not hidden.
I should be, but he's
Still
not
hidden.
convinced of that yet. It hasn't been tested.
Okay.
Oh my god, Terry! Terry! Terry!
So I see
Look who it
Gillard.
is.
So I hear the tingle of the bell basically as the door opens, and I look forward and I see Gillard come in. I'm like, Gillard, what brings you over here?
Terry! Terry! It's our new best friend!
Terry's not saying a word.
Terry, you gotta go talk to him!
I have an important question.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Does this invisibility also render the hidden person like a cone of silence that only you can hear them, or how does that work? 'Cause if he says something, do I hear that? And then
You
know
would,
something
yeah.
is there?
It's just it hides his image.
Yeah,
Right.
a glamour. Just an illusion.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't really suspect anything's going on. I just walked in the door, so I'm gonna be like, "Hey, how are you?"
Terry!
looking around.
Terry! Terry!
I run a hand casually through my hair and look at the wall to see
What?
what books are around. You know, just kind of
Terry! Terry! Terry!
looking at the new layout of the place.
They got the Jedi. Come on, Terry. This is our chance. This is our
New
chance.
layout, but so what brings you in the shop?
But Terry.
Oh, just looking around.
Just looking around, huh?
Yet another day off.
At this point, I'm circling Gillard, just excitedly. Terry.
I don't
Terry.
feel anything, am I? Like,
You don't notice Mike at all.
all right,
The only one does is Terry, but you can't see Terry right now.
all right.
Well, last time you walked in here, whenever you were with me and Freddy, you didn't seem all that interested in magic.
I'm strolling around, waiting for time to pass so I can go to a meeting. I just have some time to burn.
Really?
I'm finely dressed. I got my cufflinks on. I'm all nice looking.
That kind of gives you an eye. So he just kind of shrugs it off.
I give you an eye back.
So what brought you here specifically, Gillard?
I'm just looking around to see where Terry is.
Freddy.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Right.
you're looking for Freddy, right?
Oh, Freddy. Yes. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
So you don't see Freddy anywhere.
Any signs of a cat anywhere? I don't know that, do I? I don't know that.
Oh, you would not know
You
that.
wouldn't know
No.
One person knows that.
All right, I'm just looking
Is that
around
one?
for Terry, sensing for the nuisance.
Yeah, you don't see that Freddy's here. You know he's hung out here quite a bit.
Have you seen Terry lately? I mean,
Freddy.
Freddy. Ah. The chat is all Terry, and that's just like throwing me off so hard. Okay.
No, I haven't seen Freddy in a hot minute. Been worried about the guy.
It's moderately alarming.
You're his friend. Have you heard anything from him?
Not a peep, which is really unusual considering that he's usually always around, bothering you.
Yeah, like I've known him to go on days-long gambling binges, but
Hope he's not doing that.
this is the longest he's been gone. Well, if I see him again, I'll tell him his friend G's been looking for him. And she gives like a really wry smile after saying that.
That is not my name, and I think you're aware of this by now.
Harry is
I
standing
know,
a
but that's
little
what Freddy
ways away,
calls you.
breathing very quietly,
You are not Freddy.
working
My
hard
name
to
is
ignore
Gerard.
Mike.
Well, I know that, Jalar. Gotta tell something, Freddy, though.
Yeah, that clown. Alright. Add it to the
But what do you
list.
need Freddy for? Maybe I can drop him a message.
Just tell him to call me if you see him. Check in.
I'll tell him to call you then.
It's not like I'm his sober companion or anything. I just want to make sure he's alive.
All right.
So, do you, what you give her, like Gillard's main number? Is it like a burner phone?
I take out my business card, which is not something that I made. I just thought it was cool, so I have a couple of these. It's you know how that you have those business cards that are like printed so you can plug them in and play them like a keyboard?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what my business card is.
Okay.
It's like a MIDI keyboard.
That's very silly.
For no reason, because I don't need to have
You don't
that.
make music.
Yeah, no. I just like it. I like the energy. I'm vibing with it. So here, this is my card. Of course, he already has my number if he needs it, but in case you need it, there you go.
I'm gonna give actually Church a chance here. I want him to have the opportunity to break my concentration and make me say something.
That was actually once this conversation ended, as Gillard started to walk out. I was gonna see if Terry wanted to try and invoke a reaction or compel a reaction.
Yeah, so Mike, give it your best shot. You tell us the rolls, my man. I want to see what's up.
I'm gonna use my guile on this one. I'm basically annoying you to the point of compliance.
I'm still in there. I'm not out the door yet.
Yes,
Skill.
that's why it's funny.
You know. I
All
don't
right,
know if I tell
roll
her
for
not to
fate
look-
to contest.
Oh. Oh. Let me think about how bad that is.
It's not that bad. It's one shift, so it's the equivalent of, like, you may have let out a snort.
All right. He just says quietly, Mike, shut it.
Do I hear that?
You would.
Yeah, okay. was someone here?
Terry bites his own hand.
Well, no. I mean, do you see anyone? No one really here besides the two of us.
Then what was that?
Okay.
Beats me.
I'm gonna have to pull it. I'm gonna have to pull out the desperate measures.
Why would you say, Mike, shut it? I'm not Mike.
Okay.
I don't understand.
I'm using my
It was
poltergeist.
also like
I mean, it wasn't me who said anything. I mean, there are a lot of
Terry's
ghosts,
voice is very
fairies,
distinct.
I'm using my
the
poltergeist.
nonsense that makes
ability.
him its way through here.
I'm goosing Terry.
So
I'm
you're
using
able
my
to physically
poltergeist.
interact with the physical world. Does not make
Yeah.
material,
Another
but simply.
question.
Okay.
I'm just goosing him,
Um,
like right on the taint.
as
Shit, I'd have to
that's
roll,
going on
like-
completely unknown to me. I just have one more question for you, Morgana, while I'm here.
I'm gonna get a yelp out of him.
Yeah.
If you don't want anyone to touch them, why don't you have a display case for those on the top shelf?
A good question.
You could get some glass and just cover them.
Yeah, right about now, I'm goosing him hard.
So, Church,
Yes.
I'm gonna have you take, since you're a spirit and you're kind of out and physically trying to interact with something, I'd say in daylight, I want you to take a point of stress, just because you,
Alright.
you have to try that much harder.
That's fair. I'm still goosing him.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
If you need a contact for that, I know a guy. I can
Roll.
help you out.
Do me a favor, in a case like this,
Yeah.
roll for force.
Just let me know.
Roll for force.
Oh no.
All right.
A little weak. Let's
As long as
roll
he can
my
feel it.
resist, I guess.
Yep.
A little weaker. I'm too jumpy.
I've annoyed him to the point where his
So-
resistance is down.
So just for the chat and prosperity's sake, Mike rolled a -1 in force. Terry rolled a -2. So this is the equivalent of Mike trying to goose, gently brushes him, and it kind of invokes not a like painful reaction as much as a ooh that tickles reaction.
So I would say Terry, he jumps a little bit and he involuntarily makes a stepping noise. Like you could have heard a footstep on the ground there nearby,
So
and a
book off
sharp
the shelf.
intake of breath.
Well, as I'm, talking to Morgana about the display case, I want to vaguely kind of mention, hey, that street preacher that was outside a while ago?
I mean, there are a lot of street preachers and other strange faces around New Orleans. I don't know. Which one you talking about?
I glance out the window and I'm like, the creepy one.
Creepy one.
I would say, given my trouble, unless you're like pretending you don't remember me, you'd know which one.
The heavy eye contact, dude.
I mean, I haven't crossed any street preachers lately. I mean, the most exciting thing that happened was that guy who got mugged a while ago and walked up and was witnessing it, and we talked to the police. Day I met you. That was the most exciting thing that's happened in my life recently.
So
I don't listen much to these street preachers. I got my own beliefs.
I'm gonna eyeball the most expensive thing in the shop, and I'm gonna get right up next to it and get Terry's eye and be like,
The pantomime. The pantomime is high quality. I can't see any of this, but it's great.
So
All
are
right,
you
Oh god.
are you trying to knock one of the mandrakes off the top shelf?
threatening to if he doesn't speak.
Me and Morgana are just over here vibing, and I'm like, well, I guess
Can
kind of looking around for him. If
can
that
Morgana see me?
Yeah, she can see you.
She can see me through the glamour. She doesn't have any trouble seeing what I'm up to.
Right, because she's aware. She like knew you were there before. She knew why.
course.
She knows where to look.
Yeah. This is going to be very exciting for a second.
So are you saying this, or are you going like?
Yeah, no, this is all just like pantomime. Oh, shit.
around for a little
Your whole Vanna White.
The display. Oh god. Terry
while. I'd like to purchase.
steps across the store to Mike over by the mandrake shelf and says as quietly as he can manage, "Thought we were supposed to be hiding."
This is our new best friend.
You don't.
With money and in a nice room with luxurious televisions, and I can watch my shows.
Do I hear that?
You don't hear what they're saying, but you hear like some odd noises coming from a corner of the shop.
I want to look over at the corner.
Nothing's there.
Hmm. Weird. Take a few casual steps over there. Head tilted slightly. I know I heard something over here.
Morgana, you notice Gillard kind of starts stepping over in the direction to where Terry now is.
I recommend you not get too close to those mandrakes.
These
He
mandrakes?
gestures.
These
Terry
mandrakes
gestures to Mike.
right up here? These mandrakes? These here?
Oh god, this is really interesting.
If one of those mandrakes falls off of the shelf and the roots get free, it'll make a cry that is actually fatal.
So
I turn to Morgana and I say, "This is all the more reason to put them in a case."
Wonder how many like.
I might consider it.
At
It's not
this-
even
at
sealing,
this
it's a
point-
form of crown molding. You don't have to make it look tacky. It could be part of a design ambiance if you wish.
So at this point, you guys hear the bells of the shop ring. You turn around, the door opens, and you find this gentleman standing there with this big, thick, luscious beard. He's a real slim framed gentleman wearing a wool vest with a short sleeve Oxford shirt, a pair of designer jeans, and a pair of Chuck Taylors, kind of standing in the door, just one eyebrow up, like, what did I just walk into? And more
Welcome to
specifically,
Big Easy Enchantments. I am Morgana.
more specifically, he's kind of staring at Mike up at the mandrakes, and he goes, "What the hell is that?" And that's where we're gonna wrap up the session.
I'm gonna roll one thing real fast.
All right.
Okay. I need to remember that for later.
Okay.
Remember 3.
So yeah, that's where we're gonna call it for this week.
Cliffhanger. I like it.
Mike
Alright.
is so much fun.
I mean, I can keep going, but I like it.
I'm trying to give my kids that mandrakes will actually kill Terry over here.
And now you have a civilian they may kill.
Well, in fairness, it's hurting me to interact with the world right now, so I'm faking.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in that corner, but it's kind of weird. And I'd like to get to the bottom of it.
So
I wish we could have had chat in the stream because that was fun.
I'm gonna try and I'll put something together for the next stream would be tentatively the 17th. Does that still work for everyone?
I don't see any real reason why not. Let me look at it.
No problem.
All right.
Yeah.
So between now and then, I'll work and play around with the overlay, and we'll figure out a way for chat. Maybe we'll put create like a stream only chat in Discord, so that way when there's chat that goes in, it won't be impacted by whether it be dice rolls and even dice rolls I could get in there to be separate, but I want to try and keep it uniform to an extent. To borrow a page from Shewn's book, what did you guys like? What did you not like? Let's start with Church.
I honestly had no complaints about anything. No criticisms.
Okay.
As far as what I did like, you are bringing it to a head as far as the scattered group that we are, which is just natural based upon our characters and how we started. But you're very subtly bringing it together in a very good way.
Okay.
So, kudos there. I didn't hear any gross mispronunciations. I didn't hear any gross mispronunciations of French or
no one has asked names yet, so I've been practicing some of the names, preparing for someone to be like, "Hey, I'm sorry, sir, what's your name?"
But yeah, no, I enjoy playing Mike. I enjoy the freedom that comes with being a dead guy. Yeah.
All right, Terry, how about you? What you like? What did you not like?
I'm really enjoying it. I think it's an interesting setup. The premise of this whole thing has just given everybody so much leeway that, like, you may have noticed, we have legitimate inter-party conflict, and it has so far failed to destroy us.
Yet,
but it's trying.
It is still early.
It is providing narrative fuel.
Yes, it is.
For everything that goes on here, and I really like that. Almost wish we did it more often, honestly, but
Yeah.
a nice wine every once in a while is better than a cheaper wine every day.
There you go.
Sure.
You gotta appreciate the lower before you can, or you have to understand the lower before you can appreciate the higher. Kind of thing.
So
yeah.
I have no real complaints. I think it's going pretty well.
Okay.
I look forward to getting more like into the thick of things. Not necessarily combat or anything like that. I don't feel like these are very combat-oriented people, apart from Freddy, who will return to us soon. But like, I'm looking forward to everybody starting to spend those stunts and spend those conditions and making things happen a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Master?
I find myself continuing to settle into this new DFA format. So my dislikes would probably be that I don't have a good handle on the character's concepts. Or really a rhythm as to how it interacts with the world. Because I seem to find myself like clashing with with Terry's interactions, which wouldn't happen if I had a rhythm established.
Well, that conflict could actually be part of that rhythm.
Well, and I also, the story is kind of set it up for you and Terry to be at conflict. Because you've just been hired to turn Terry in.
Yeah.
To find me for the people I spent all day running from.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
it's going to kind of how you, and this is where I think what you mean is kind of hit the strides, and the concept is your person going to catch them and instantly call your contractor? Are you going to talk to him? Are you going to try and understand? Like there's a whole range of things that really the narrative and the RP, it's all more, it is improvisational.
I'll tell you what's funny though is if Gillard decides to immediately try to turn in Terry, or it becomes in any way a threat, Gillard's going to very quickly learn to believe in ghosts.
If it goes too long, Gillard, I'm sorry.
Gillard.
I must remember Gillard.
Gillard.
If it goes too long and goes too bad, Gillard may learn to believe in God.
Yeah, we'll see.
Gillard may
Well-
also learn to believe in magic.
Yep.
Because I
He's
mean,
got
we
one trick up his sleeve, but it's a really good one.
already all believe in money, so.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, if I'm gonna
Terry's on the
My
fence
life.
about it.
Mike is fixated. Mike wants to be your best friend.
But I know what you mean, especially coming from D&D and 5e, where everything is tends to be more structured. The skills are structured, your classes are structured, your races are structured. Coming to this being very open and narrative, your imagination is your limits to an extent, is much different. And it's something that I've been, and it's one of the reasons why I'm doing a session every 2 weeks, because it takes me a lot more time to try and figure out where to go and how to prepare for the group dynamic. It was probably apparent that the vast majority of the last 2 hours have been just me pulling things out. So, and I'm enjoying it because of that as well, but I just want to make sure everyone in the group is enjoying it as well.
Well,
Loving it.
I will say being privy to some of the back end, just from helping you work on.
And
the
everyone's
campaign.
welcome to join, because I've been streaming the creation games and stuff as well.
I saw that and I actually skipped it specifically because.
Okay. Yeah, and you're welcome to, you don't have to. There's each thing that I'm doing on stream, there's a section that's secret. So like if I'm creating a person or a faction, there's a portion of their life that's secret that I do off stream.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, being privy to some of the back end, I can see it, like out of character. I can see it, and the plot it's moving. Like the where you're wanting to take the story is moving, and the overhead is building its structure as far as the overreaching story, I should say. And like I can see it, so it's moving slow, but it's moving slow because we're developing
Right.
into the story. The story is there, like you have the foundation. We're building ourselves onto it, and I think it's going to work out probably better than even you might realize. I think it's going to work out just fine.
Okay. Prim, what did you like? What did you not like?
Well, I don't have any dislikes, honestly. I have only praise for the way that the story's been going so far. I really like how all of us sort of coming together feels incredibly natural, It doesn't feel forced at all. And I love how everything's divided up into scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like we have like little small groupings of characters sort of interacting with the scene like at once. I feel like I really get to lean into Morgana a lot. And I actually get to role play her out. She gets her moments to shine. I can really see her character coming through. Like in a lot more ways than like even my D&D characters, because it's like I feel like I have a lot more character moments where she gets to be like that sort of eccentric neighborhood, like, you know, shopkeep, basically, that it's like, you know,
Okay,
this
good.
woman who like, oh, she believes in magic, like, but like she actually is like a magical practitioner, like, you know, and like people may, you know, think you're crazy for her fairy talk, but she is a changeling. So it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I get to lean into her
Good.
more,
So
and it's just like I love that.
it's not so much the don't split the parties attitude.
Right.
No.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I think I liked it better actually.
Okay.
'Cause
Yeah,
But it-
because it feels natural. It feels like a narrative story. Not everyone's going to be at the same place at once, and especially because like the mechanics of this system and like the way that Dresdenverse operates, like just period, it's very different from D&D. So it's like it's not going to be like don't split the party, because we're playing like our own characters with our own lives who like just happen to come together because of like, you know, IRL circumstances.
Random
So it's
sequence
just
of
like,
events.
yeah,
Yeah.
so the don't split the party stuff like doesn't really matter as much, and all the characters just get their moment to shine basically, and I love that.
All right,
In
good.
particular, the last scene is kind of a perfect example of that. We were all in the same scene, and we were all strongly incentivized in different ways to either interact or definitely not interact with one another. Like,
Yeah, I have a difficult position to be in now because like the whole way here I was concerned about it, you know, because I know this is me trying to find someone and tell them where they are, but I don't know this person. I just met them, so I don't know if my approach is going to be to immediately tell him where you are and not tell you that he's looking for you, or to tell you that he's looking for you and tell him where you are.
Well, the good news is you have 2 weeks to think
to
through.
think about it.
Exactly. And that's why I wanted to make this a breaking point because I want everyone to kind of think through their character development on who they are, where they want it to go. Plus, you got this new person that's been added into the equation that has kind of picked up on the strife that's been taking place.
Apparently sees me.
And see ghosts. So that's perfect.
But I like everything so far. I just don't like my performance.
I think you're doing
yeah,
pretty well so far.
Yeah,
yeah, you are.
just, you're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
like
and this-
Gillard,
I know a lot.
like I can feel that like very high class, feels like he's, you know, too good for everyone sort of like attitude shining through him. And like that's how like I kind of see his character.
Yeah, he
That's not the goal.
Gillard knows.
Some credit. You have taken pains to establish your lifestyle, your attitude to your work. You filled in secondary characters around you that you thought were necessary, and you've got a really firm sense of how you do business.
And
But plus,
good.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I think that Gillard strikes me as a character who is maybe not on the supernatural side, but very aware of what's actually going on in the city. More probably from a political, socio-economical standpoint, but actually knows what's really going on, who's running the show, who's calling the shots, who the power players are. And all of us common folks are kind of just naive, ignorant plebs, which is perfect for the character because you're a fixer, you know.
Yeah. Not that
So-
not that he's better than you, but just that he knows more and is more aware.
Yeah, we're not worth your time because your time is money, and normal people are kind of a waste of that time.
I'm worth his time. I'm worth a large pile of money right now.
Yeah.
I'm worth his time if he knows what's good for him on the magical side of things.
So
like social.
I want to be worth his time.
So I want to take a group vote for when Shewn returns the next session. Would everyone be interested in a scenario where Shewn needs to be rescued from an animal shelter?
It's an interesting conundrum.
That would be a little funny.
Back into a person.
Are they going to chip and neuter him?
Yeah.
I'm on the fence about the chipping. I'll probably leave out the neutering.
I mean, I guess check with him because
Yeah.
he'll have firm opinions about how Freddy
he
reacts
missed
to
a
this sort of
session.
thing.
He does not get a say in it.
There's definite impact as to how he plays the character, what happens to him while he's away.
I mean, I would be interested because I think it would be really funny where it's just like, oh, I have to go get my cat. And it's like, no, I gotta go bail out Freddy.
I think it's interesting to have the storyline, but I would wonder about what that says. You know, if he can't be here because of extenuating circumstances and then comes back to see that his character has been wildly altered by being spayed or being...
No, that's
concerned.
being chipped is different than being spayed. He's not going to be spayed. I'm not.
I'm just saying that would change how he plays it. If he's chipped, then you can track him. That would change how he plays his character.
Although
you couldn't exactly track him.
Nobody would think to use that to track a human.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, who would anticipate a human to be chipped? An animal, yes.
Now that being
Not a
said, there
Plus, he
are
could probably dig it out.
there are going to be times in the game, whether it's in between sessions or actual in the game, where you'll have the opportunity to enforce aspects on your enemies, and your enemies will have the ability to enforce aspects on you. So there are times where disadvantages will be placed on you.
Kind of like me working in the daylight and taking stress.
Yeah, or say you came across a necromancer.
That would be terrifying for me.
Like a necromancer would have the ability to apply an aspect to you. A necromancer may have a specific rhythm that he could play that would make you think and miss like your heartbeat. And that rhythm would potentially control you and in turn possibly Terry.
Well,
that would be very strange.
There's a lot of within hoodoo, voodoo, you know. There are a lot of necromantic aspects if you fully explore it, which would make it a danger to me.
Oh yeah, like a proper like voodoo, like New Orleans flavored like necromancer, that would be incredible. Especially like if he'll summon from like the New Orleans underground, like that would be awesome and flavorful.
And terrifying.
Necromancers have particular connotations in the Dresden universe that would make it like, I don't think it's incompatible with the voodoo notions of necromancy, but it would make them a high-profile target for a lot of people.
Yeah, and necromancy is more magic, warlock, where voodoo's more religion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wicca and witchcraft is also a religion, so, you know.
That's true.
So, not incompatible. You could easily have somebody who is a voodoo worshiper or practitioner and just is also a magical practitioner.
Yeah, and that's actually a fine case for Harry, because Harry in the books actually has faith is very loose in the Dresden verse. It's all a matter of what you believe in. Harry believes wholeheartedly and has his faith in his mother's pentacle necklace, and that level of faith in I don't know, I can't remember if Harry's Wiccan or paganism or agnostic or whatever, but the faith that he has in this necklace actually can hurt vampires when he actually focuses on it. So Wiccan, it is a faith. It's a matter of how you apply that faith.
So it would not be at all unusual to see, and that little kind of gap there is where I've put Terry.
Yeah.
His faith is all-consuming.
Terry's the gray area.
Terry's the gray area. It's perfect.
Yeah, and if I may sort of pipe up, like Wicca IRL basically sort of, I've heard someone explain it like this, and that the Wiccan rituals wherein you're setting up a magic circle, lighting candles, saying different incantations to make certain effects happen, like people who are Wiccans sort of essentially treat it like a prayer to the gods, basically. Like, it's a little more power in your hands sort of deal, but for all intents and purposes, whenever they're doing ritual magic to sort of impose their will like on the world, it is sort of like an entreaty to the forces that be, basically. So they say that it's not unlike a prayer doing ritual magic.
Yeah, it very much is, because you are asking, and I can't. It's in high school. I went through a period where I was very interested in the Wiccan religion, and it is like you're asking for like the god of the north, the south.
Yeah,
it's forming a battery.
Yeah,
and theologically, you create your circle boundary. You set up your guardians on each quadrant of it, and then you invoke or evoke power from a divine source or a spiritual source or a natural source into that circle, building it up into a pocket of energy, and then release it with a focus to a desired effect.
yeah.
If
So
I recall correctly, there are like Wiccans mentioned in the books. There are members of the Paranet that are Wiccans, and they have some minor powers as a result of their faith and their practices.
Yep, they're considered in the know. They're considered minor practitioners. They have enough energy and knowledge to make something minor happen, but not so much to where they can fully. Like the level of a wizard is much different than someone who may have just ESP and can do one specific thing.
but basically the point that I'm trying to make here is I can see, like, you know, someone being like a necromancer and then a practitioner of voodoo as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, it is very possible. Just like I would say with any religion, you have the good and the bad in any religion as well.
Most have to have some conception of the evil articles of their own faith, and in this case, it lines up very nicely.
Oh yeah, well, voodoo's all about pulling on spirits, the Loa. You know, so I mean, and there is a lot of, well, let's say death magic, for lack of a better term, involved. It's not always evil or anything, or with evil intent, but sometimes you got to make a deal with the devil.
Yeah,
for the betterment of something else.
Voodoo is something that I am very interested in wanting to put in the campaign. I have it in here more as reference at some points versus being a core ability of someone, just mainly because I haven't found what I felt is a lot of credible information on it, because no matter what religion that is in here, because religion is a core part of the Dresden verse, no matter what religion comes up in the game, I want it to at least be treated somewhat respectfully. So I don't want to just be like, oh, voodoo's all cutting off chicken heads and voodoo dolls. I want to make sure I can at least have a core basic understanding of it, so that way I can have an NPC and know what lines to and not to cross.
I respect that.
Tricky, yeah.
I respect that.
I took the easy way out and made Terry a practitioner of a religion, all of the adherents of which have been dead for several thousand years.
That's cheating, sir.
I didn't say it wasn't. I did say it was the easy way out.
And the other easy way is just create your own religion.
Yeah, you can just make one up.
An alien crash landed into Earth and we worship that alien.
That wouldn't be weird enough for me. Terry has to be weird, so he's got to enter the uncanny valley of religion.
Fast forward 20 years, Mike is a god and Terry is his prophet.
Yep.
There is a power vacuum with the red cord having gone missing.
So, in reference to that, the sort of Gnostic cosmology, as best anyone can tell, obviously, most of the Gnostic cosmology is reconstructed both from recovered remnants of Gnostic Gospels. The Gospel of Thomas was found buried in a bunch of pots in the side of a hill in Iraq. And from the early Christian polemics against Gnosticism, where the church fathers would speak out and describe the Gnostic heresy and why it must be avoided. But as far as it's been reconstructed from that, their cosmology was one in which all that was flesh and material is, in a sense, evil. It's something that the true light of the spirit is trapped within.
Okay.
So Mike is kind of a god to Terry. He's free of the flesh. Terry feels kind of irresponsible for being the anchor holding him to this earthly plane. But he's also like really polite, so he doesn't want to just die, because Mike doesn't want him to.
No. Mike's very defensive of Terry.
This is hilarious. We have opposite incentives. You think what happened to you is awful, and you want me to stay alive so that you can continue to taste real life here in the physical world and continue to exist. Terry thinks that what happened to you is very inconvenient. He's not happy that it happened, but he thinks your state is a higher state than his.
Well, that's what makes our dynamic so hilarious.
Exactly. Like, you're more defensive of his life than he would ever be. He doesn't want to die, obviously. He thinks of preaching as his calling, and there's worth in telling other people the true word of God here on Earth.
Oh.
But, like, he's not afraid of death.
Although after all this time, Terry probably realizes that Mike will raise absolute chaos if left alone.
Yes.
He can't be left to his own devices. That would be probably a bad thing.
Terry shoulders many burdens.
Yeah. Mike is a big one.
What I feel like is going to happen is that Morgana may be letting Mike and Terry stay in her apartment with her, and she may be adopting a cat from an animal shelter so Mike can speak to her.
If you put Terry up,
So
like,
Terry
on a
is-
semi-permanent
Yep.
basis, there is so much opportunity for sheer hijinks.
Oh, yeah. Especially if
Like,
you
you'll-
give me a cat to inhabit. That'd be hilarious.
It's already got Freddy in there. I don't think that works
No.
quite as easily.
Well,
No.
he's not a true cat. If he was a true cat, like, it could be like, hey, Mike needs a body. Someone's missing this
The bar
campaign.
cat.
Yeah, Freddy, I would actually have to break before I could.
That's a proper possession.
Right.
But no, a standard cat, just hop right in.
Yeah, I would just be like,
Oh,
you're,
there-
I would probably phrase it like you're not, and I'd probably give Freddy's like cat form some sort of like name to not give him away. I'm just like, you're not going to inhabit my familiar. I'll get you another cat.
So just for pure comedic value, you could always go out and just go to the pet shop and pick up a hamster.
Hamster mind.
Terry walks
Yeah,
around with
but
a hamster on his shoulder.
It wouldn't fit the aesthetic as well. Like Morgana has to be seen with cats.
All cats.
The crazy cat lady motif.
Well, she's a very witchy woman, see? And witches have familiars in a lot of different forms, but cat is the one you think of the most.
Okay.
And she likes cats.
I don't know. Mike would probably request a turtle just so he could dress up like a ninja.
Oh yeah. I think I'm going to continue not watching the construction streams because
No, it's all good.
I don't know what major powers of the setting will eventually encroach upon our little lives here.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know if we're going to run into vampire courts. I don't know if we're going to run into
yeah.
this to the council or to like
The answer to that is
outsiders
yes.
showing up. Yes, the answer is always yes.
Yes.
But
Just
I've
what
got a
capacity.
plan for Terry to weird out every single one of them.
Okay.
Because, like, magical practitioners show up, Terry looks people dead in the eyes. And it's a little off-putting just to be around him. It'd be a lot off-putting to see him.
Okay.
See real Terry.
So now I'm just curious, how would you off-put the Merlin?
Oh, like...
He's not going to show up, but if he did,
He's
I'm
not
just
going to
curious.
show up. He's kind of like... I assume we're kind of like later in the continuity.
Yeah, and
It's the
you guys
state
are
of
so... no, let's go with right now, because right now you guys are so, like, low on the totem pole. the
We're
Merlin.
nothing.
Yeah.
He would never actually take an interest. But I would say just because, you know, he is a wizard. He does soul gaze. He would be... He's a little too fastidious of a guy. You know, he's not just gonna slip up and accidentally
Right.
look somebody in the eyes.
And would
But he
you
does-
want to soul gaze with the Merlin?
Terry doesn't understand the concept, but he does
That's
know
fair.
how to hold people's attention. And a large part of that for him is eye contact.
Okay.
So
That's
he would
fair.
be looking even the Merlin in the eyes unless somebody has explained to him how that works for wizards. So I think that would probably be the same as with any wizard. Terry can't tell the difference. He doesn't know this is the most powerful wizard on Earth.
No, that's true.
And there's... I think any of the courts, they're all relatively sensitive to the dispositions of their victims in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
So my trouble would impact them, you know, right away.
I will
Then-
say the only court you don't have a chance to run into is the red court's been wiped out in the
Gone.
storyline. So you don't have to
gone.
worry about them.
Yeah, and the black court is mostly gone anyways. There's not too many of them left running around. But that's all fine. That's not a problem.
Okay.
But like even interactions between Terry and outsiders or people who know about outsiders would be a little weird. Like if things go wrong, Terry could easily be a villain.
Yeah. And that's
Gnostic
actually
faith has a conception of an alien god, a god that is distinctly separate from the cosmos and not necessarily a good creature. So like
Isn't that the god that like gave birth to Sophia and all that?
yeah, or was given birth to by Sophia and then created the universe, like has dominion over it. Gnosticism is very strange.
Yeah, I thought it was like there was a like overarching like father god that gave birth to Sophia, and it was like the father god that was like the evil one, and then Sophia gave birth to like another god, and maybe it was like it was either her brother or son that was like the Christian god, and he was like actually very vengeful and mean, but Sophia was like, she loved people, so she gave people like, the light, basically.
Close. I read it again the other day. I'm trying to keep it straight in my head. It's not strictly what Terry thinks, but I'm trying to keep it in mind for flavor.
Right.
So there was a creator god who made the perfection of the spirit, had a daughter, Sophia. Sophia envied his creation of a luminous universe and attempted to create her own. And because she was not hermaphroditic, that was the weird thing, was the creator god was hermaphroditic. She gave birth to a flawed universe, which is the one we live in, and a flawed creature, which was the Christian god.
Yeah, that was it.
So, long story short, if Terry runs into an outsider, he may accidentally worship it. Depends on how it presents.
Yeah, and
Or
which
if
one?
not worship it, he may identify it with God.
Right. Like you may not
Holy
identify with
shit.
he who walks behind.
Yeah, not exactly there. Not godlike enough. But if something was putting across, I am the ruler of the universe, and it had that real outsider energy about it, that lines up roughly with Terry's beliefs.
And so kind of what he described, Master, I wanted to circle around with one of your comments earlier about kind of a concern of being in a position where you're kind of an adversary, or the potential to be an adversary. Everyone in the game has that potential. Everyone's human. Humans are flawed beings. There's always the potential to either be put in a position where you have to make a decision that it may be good for you but bad for everyone else, or a path where your interests don't align with everyone else and you have to make that decision. I think there's going to be a case in this game where everyone's going to be put into a position in one way or another where their interest may not align with the party's interest.
Yeah, I think it's a question of his balance within human rights at this point for me.
Okay.
He's very conflicted about the control of information and trying to be actively seeking out somebody else to find them. Yeah, I get that you want to find a guy and I understand that. But it would be more of a, hey, can I take you out to dinner and meet this guy that really wants to meet you? More vibes than I'm gonna tell him where you are and have him bring the black helicopters to bear, because I don't know this dude.
That actually works super well for me, because that role I did there at the end, right as our new friend walked in the door and spotted Mike, I was rolling to see if I was gonna give in and talk to you just to shut Mike up and stop him from pushing these mandrakes off the shelf. And
Yeah.
he's gonna, basically. We're gonna see if it breaks the glamour if he whispers over your shoulder and then runs around to the other shoulder real quick so you don't look at him.
It won't break the glamour, but I think it it'll probably clue Jillard in that something's up.
You don't live in a police state where I report on you. I think that's the important thing to remember. And I'm not hurting for the job. I just would like to be him.
And you didn't take money up front either.
Nah, I don't need it. So what's the point?
But you made a
obligate
point.
yourself further.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and you probably saw Terry with the bag at the police station, so I mean, in your mind, it's
you already have all the details of the case. You're just curious now.
yeah.
Although it does make sense that a good fixer would get all the details before they actively involve themselves in something that could potentially have a negative impact on their reputation.
Or
Yeah,
make them an
not
interest of law enforcement.
Yeah,
Oh, they're very
Yeah.
close to law enforcement.
I'm just doing this for the favor's sake. I'm not really doing it to earn any money. I don't know this T person, but he's got his own convoy. He might be useful later. So if I can convince you to go to dinner with me and tell him where we're going and you can meet him at that dinner, that would be perfect for me because it would be something you would consent to at the same time as something that he's looking for. You know, public place and everything, so he can take care of his business without me being involved.
I think you'll mention a nice dinner, and then Mike's gonna be on my ear again.
Great.
Well,
I mean,
plus
I've
with
seen you, I know how you dress. I know you're kind of struggling. I can tell, you know.
well, once you kind of start realizing who you're running with between Morgana and Mike and Terry and Freddy and what they are and what they're capable of, once that starts coming out, because your character doesn't have any magical ties, really. So all of this is going to be kind of new. It might crack your character's head open a little bit to realize there's this whole world that you've not been privy to.
I laughed and laughed.
What's that?
You're gonna be wishing, once you understand how all this works, you're going to be wishing you'd bought that copy of the Unseelie Accords.
Yeah, that is now put up and hidden.
Yeah, all right. I mean, I don't think it's that much of a revelation to Gillard. I think he's more aware than you would think. He includes those contacts and the rest of them, and he is aware magic exists. He's just not a practitioner of it. You know, he's aware that the otherworldly forces exist. He's just not directly connected to those necessarily. So
Does he believe in monsters? Because there's a difference between believing in magic and believing in monsters as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was sort of under the impression that like Gillard like wasn't really aware of all this stuff from like the last session, and like you sort of describing like, you know, what Gillard thinks about all of the books that were on Morgana's shelf, basically.
And it's passing interest of someone who doesn't have any use for it personally, but he treats his approach to monsters and everything else with the same sort of, I want to say like proactive or protagonistic perspective. I don't know if that's the word. Just kind of like, does it help me to think about this right now? Really.
For reference for you. It appeared that you did not have a familiarity with the Unseelie Accords from when you were looking at the book.
I mean, I don't know that if I have contacts in that area, that means that I would know what that is, you know?
So, being
in the very first couple Dresden books, a organized crime boss becomes aware of them, becomes a signatory on them, and then achieves immense power as a result.
That's not the first. That's much later in the books.
He becomes aware in like the
of
first
them,
book,
right? But he doesn't
become a signatory until like 5 or 6 or something.
It's
later
to like 9 or 10.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm on book 7 now.
It still hasn't happened.
Right. Book 5 he becomes engaged with the Black Denarians.
Oh, right. There was that whole interlude first.
Yep, and you learn about the daughter, or I'm assuming his daughter. They didn't specifically say.
No, I was always assuming it was either a daughter. It might have been younger sister. It's been a while since I read that one.
I guess. Sorry.
You go for it. We're just bantering.
I was just gonna say, like, with Gillard going that route, though.
I was just putting out there, there's established precedent in the series. A thorough understanding of the Unseelie Accords for somebody who's the criminal equivalent of a politician is a path to immense power and wealth.
Well, and you can be aware of the supernatural, but not be aware of all the politics into it. And that can be a source of, as you're more exposed to it, you learning these things. Like, there's a lot of people that are minor practitioners that aren't even aware of the White Council.
Well, I was going to say that if you had an aspect or something basically we'll say like I don't know, they come up with all kinds of fancy names for them, but something like a stone, and to the point where you are so practical and so logical in your thought processes as far as, is this functionally positive or functionally negative to what I do, and beyond that you don't care. Like that could be an aspect or something for your character.
I do have the usual suspects, which says that I can declare that I previously worked with a criminal NPC, and I'd like to think that criminals can cross over into the supernatural and cross over into otherworldly forces. So
They-
Most definitely.
They
Aspects,
can, yeah.
not stunt.
Yes. Stunt, actually, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about aspects.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
don't
mean,
think
like I don't think there would be that much of a crossover, though. Really, there's a whole lot of mundane criminality within a large
Yeah.
city that's not tied to
Right.
anything supernatural.
Yeah, there's
At least knowingly.
there is going to be criminals that are involved in the occult, but your vast majority of just people, criminals, anything, don't know. Like, they may believe to some aspect, but they have no idea of how vast it is.
Yeah.
They rather think of a way to dismiss it than accept it. So one example is there is a forensics pathologist named Butters, who he ended up dissecting one of the red cord vampires, and in one of the reports wrote something to the extent of, the victim was humanoid but definitely not human. And he got put away 3 months for psych evaluations. And 2 years later, Harry tells him that everything about the supernatural is real. Vampires are real. Werewolves are real. All this different stuff. And he has to spend actually like the majority of the chapter kind of talking Butters through accepting that the supernatural is real, because even though he has seen it, it's much easier for humanity to find a way to dismiss it than accept that there's something beyond their control that could crush them in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it'd be like a devout Catholic actually seeing an angel. Yeah, you believe in it. Yeah, it's part of your entire faith. But if it landed in front of you, wings out, it would blow your mind.
That happens
Yeah.
in the series too, I'm pretty sure.
I agree with the I know it exists, but I'm not thinking about it, or that I'm not aware of the politics. I think the
Yeah.
politics side of it would really blow my mind, and I don't really know how to play the aspects well enough, because I did
That's
decide to sort of home craft this sort of between the 1%er / criminal type of mantle.
And as we
kinda
hit
get-
milestones, you'll have the ability to adjust certain things in the aspects as well.
But
Actually-
I didn't get that impression about Jallard that he like was actually a believer. Maybe go back and watch the VOD from the last time we played it.
I know what you're talking about. I just don't know a lot of things. You know, this character, if it has to know about the unciliated chords in order to know about the underworld or magic or anything else,
Not at all.
then that's something that I wasn't aware of. And
Not
the
at
only reason
all.
I said it that way is because I wanted to convey a passing interest. The whole point of me being in the shop was just to spend some time around there, because I know Freddy hangs out there. So me looking at the unciliated chords with a passing interest of these and thous with the rolls I made doesn't convey that the character doesn't know anything.
Totally normal and fine. That's what made it funny.
I'm
rather
just
than
saying
weird.
that I'm pretty sure like they'll ask you if Jallard believes in magic, and you gave a response that implied that like you didn't.
Conveyance of this character is fluid, and I'm still settling into this platform. There's a lot
Okay.
of,
Of course.
you know, I don't
I mean, that's all fine and good. I mean, if he actually does believe, then that's fine. I'm just like,
It's all
clarifying.
good.
it's more of a problem with me. I don't think that the belief is a thing that needs to be dealt with. You know, I think he doesn't deal with the world in terms of do I believe in that or not. Like he does things as he needs to. You know, we asked about like, does he have this faith that we were talking about when we met Terry at first.
My dad, right back.
That was a question that I really didn't know how to answer because that's not how he approaches the world, you know.
So here's the question I have for you. How specifically how would you say he approaches the world? Very pragmatically?
Yes, I guess. Very,
Only in terms of function, never in terms of
yeah,
meaning.
he's not gonna get like emotionally invested in whether or not vampires actually exist. Like, it's not something he's gonna do. You know, he if it serves his purpose, then he'll get into it. But, like,
So that's actually a really good opportunity for your character. And the way I would play it off is, especially if you're not too familiar with the Dresden verse, I would play it off to where your character has an understanding that there are things that go bump in the night. He may believe in ghosts, may believe in extraterrestrials. He lives in New Orleans, for Christ's sakes. A lot of people down there believe in the ghost and the hauntings and may have even experienced it. But knowing the politics that take place, knowing the etiquette for interacting and dealing with the Fae, those are areas where your character can grow, as well as your knowledge out of character can grow. So kind of tie those in, as he can believe in the outside but not know about the Unseelie Accord, may not know about the etiquette for I can't think of it, it's granting safe passage through your house. I forgot what it's
Hospitality.
actually. Yes, the rules of hospitality. There's a whole realm of things that your character, rightfully so, probably shouldn't know. That is a good chance for them to learn as the game goes on.
And I wanted to plant that seed specifically because you've already said you don't care about money. You've got money. You're in it for the favors.
well, that's the entire flavor of the stress condition section for me, is that I have favors instead of heat or
Exactly.
wealth.
And if that's how you think about the world, the Fae, and people are heavily involved in the occult side of the world, favors are like a blood price to them. Favors are worth their weight in more than gold. You can't just get a favor, and having one from somebody powerful makes you a force to be reckoned with.
Giving
And
your
the
word
rules
is
binding in senses that are hard to convey to non-magical people. So that's why the Unseelie Accords would have been super interesting. And why it's funny that you said, oh, that's kind of neat. That's old shit right there. Those are the rules by which favors are, like, given, used, what it means to bind your word to something, what it means to keep discretion about the magical world.
I rolled something
So-
to that effect. That's why I reacted in that way.
Exactly. I know. That's why it was funny. It wasn't wrong. It was funny. And I hope it comes back around because it'd be funny again.
Yikes.
Gillard, with a proper knowledge of the Accords and an understanding of how to do business with the Fae, is suddenly vastly more dangerous than everybody else.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. If
And
it
Morgana
happens,
would
it
be
happens.
just the person to tell you all of that, because Morgana, like, my conception of her character is she is very, like, in tune with that side of the world, and that she can point you to, different passages into the Never Never and things of that nature, like, what's going on, how to navigate dealings and all that.
Well, plus, you personally not knowing a lot of the Dresden verse, you could actually use that to your advantage from a roleplay perspective.
right.
Yeah, that's why I was mentioning the shelving for the mandrakes, because I was thinking that, if we form a relationship where I help you do business in a better way, then maybe you'll help me too. sort of symbiotic type of vibe. If I can help you to sell those while at the same time being completely safe from their more detrimental effects.
She doesn't sell them.
Why are they there?
Eccentric shopkeep. She just wants them there.
They're part of the security system.
Fair enough. I mean, if you want to have, that's what I was thinking. Maybe I can help you like display them better. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, Morgana's gonna do what she wants because she's 46 years old and she does not give a shit. She has been through too much in her life to give a shit anymore. She's just gonna do things the way that she wants to, and she doesn't give like a shit what people think about her.
I've had
That-
the
that's
Fae
just
knocking
sort of
on my
her.
door for decades, and if I can ignore them, I can ignore you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
like
fine.
she's just the eccentric shopkeep. So like, understand that she's just going to do her. That's Morgana.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything less, honestly, from the character as you built it. It's a good strategy. And I'm just trying to like fit into wherever this world is supposed to be taking me. That's the
I'm
only
loving